Chapter 10, Astro. While I was standing out in my backyard, I saw this silver bowl-shaped object descend from the sky. It got bigger and bigger as it dropped straight down towards me. I ran back towards the house and watched it come down until it floated a few feet above the grass. It looked like my silver water bowl, but much, much bigger. The fur on my back stood straight up as I watched this thing hover silently over the ground. The fur on my back stood straight up as I watched this thing hover silently off the ground. I tried barking at it, but nothing would come out. I tried running away, but I couldn't move. Something was holding me in place. That's when I saw a weird head push through a flap on the side of the silver ball. It looked something like a dog, but it was gray in color, with a vertical almond-shaped nose that took up most of its face. It had tiny pointy ears at the top of its head, but I couldn't make out any fur. I watched the thing pull itself through the flap and float away, as if it were a puppy carried by a human. They had 4 skinny legs dangling below it with a lizard-like tail. They'd explored my yard for a few moments, sniffing at the air. Then a metallic pole pushed its way through the flap, turned upright, and just hung in midair. Little metallic branches appeared to grow from its center. Once it was done transforming, it looked like our silver Christmas tree that Ken puts up every year. The creature floated over to it and raised one of its hind legs. A blue liquid squirted out from the creature and covered the base of the tree thing. Drops of blue urine dripped from its base and fell onto the grass. Once the creature was done, the tree withdrew its branches and went back inside the craft. Then the creature spotted me. It floated in my direction with its tail wagging. That was when the panic pants really started up. I was petrified. I didn't know what it was going to do to me. It floated right up to my face. I felt my fur being pulled towards its giant nostrils as it gave me long, drawn-out sniffs. 2 more of these creatures floated out of the bowl and joined the first one, their snake-like tails wagging as they sniffed all over my body. The first creature stuck out its snake-like tongue and licked me. I tried desperately to run or even move. I was locked in place. The others joined in, licking at my face with their pointy tongues. I had a hard time breathing. I couldn't control my emotions any longer. I wanted desperately to let out a howl. That's when I woke up. I was still lying in my backyard. My fur felt hot from being out in the sun for so long. I waited for my heart to slow down before I stood up, gave myself a good shake, and exhaled deeply. That was definitely a weird dream. I went over to my silver water dish in the shade and lapped up some of its warm water. With water dripping from my jowls, I eyed the silver bowl suspiciously. Maybe if I dropped it over the fence, Ken would get a new plastic one. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with myself that day. I went over to the hole under the fence behind our shed. Someone had filled it in with a bunch of cinder blocks, and now I couldn't get out. I tried scratching at them for a few minutes, but they didn't budge. There was no way I could pull them out with my teeth. Bummer. I sat there for a few moments, staring at my dilemma. I wanted to take a lap around the neighborhood and look for some more of those delicious bones. Instead, I was stuck here in my backyard for the rest of the day. I looked around to see if anything else was different. Nope. I sat there for a while, my fur soaking up the sun, my mind just a complete blank. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a thought appeared in my head. I wasn't sure what that meant or where it came from. I let it wander around inside my head a few times, repeating it to myself. 1 + 1 = 2. 1 + 1 = 2. A familiar smell distracted me from my thoughts. The wind had changed direction, and I'd picked up a distinct odor coming from our neighbor's yard. It was another one of those bones, somewhere in the neighborhood. I had already buried one of them over by the shed, and another one by the lawn chair. The smell couldn't be coming from the ones I already had. I had them deep underground. Then it hit me. I have 2 bones. 1 bone plus another bone equals 2 bones. It all made perfect sense. 1 plus 1 equals 2. I stood up. My tail started wagging like crazy. If I have one squeaky toy and got one more squeaky toy, I would have 2 squeaky toys. This was mind-blowing. I think I just learned how to count. Another bone was out there beyond the fence, calling me to get it. Wait a minute. What would be the number if I got that other bone? I froze while I attempted to work it out in my mind. If I got another bone, then added it to the 2 I already had, that would be 3 bones. This new concept was completely nuts. I paced around the backyard, desperate to get at that 3rd bone. Leaning up against the shed was a tall board, higher than the fence itself. An idea occurred to me. What if it fell onto the fence? I bet I could use it to climb over. I stood up on my hind legs and scratched at it with my front paws, like I do when I want to go out. The board slid over a bit. On my second try, it slid away from the side of the shed and hit the fence with a crash, forming a narrow ramp. Why the hell didn't I think of this before? I could have gotten out of the yard a long time ago, and I wouldn't have needed to do all that damn digging. I slowly placed my front paws on the board and put some weight on it. It felt safe. I was able to carefully walk up the ramp, clear the top of the fence, and jump down. I sprinted through my neighborhood towards the smell of that 3rd bone. Freedom had never been so easy.